Hello everyone. This video is designed to help you become more familiar with using Google and Google Drive and Google Classroom and the things you use quite regularly on your laptop, but only this time we're going to talk a little bit more about how to use them on an iPad. Now, many of you will still use Google Classroom, Google Drive, all of your Google things on your laptop. But there might be a time where you are forced to use your iPad to have to create or get into your Google Drive or something like that. But probably even more so as your students are using iPads. Our 5th and 6th graders this year are using iPads. It might be good for you to just see how it looks from their perspective and be able to help them when they run into some trouble. Because of that, you'll notice in just a minute that I am actually logged in as my son Jacob, so you'll see his name pop up on some of those things that we open up. So first thing that I want to remind you of on an iPad is that, again, just like you know on your phones, that it's app-based. There are different apps that you use. So if I go into Google, my little Google folder here, you'll notice I have an app for not only Google Drive, which normally when you are on your laptop, you go to your Google Drive and you have access to those other apps. There is a specific app for slides, docs, and sheets in addition to Classroom and Chrome, of course. You might know and might realize there as you're looking at this that you are missing a couple of them, and especially one you might use, and that's Google Forms. There is not a Google Forms app. You are still able to create on Google Forms, but you'll do it through the browser Chrome, and I'll show you how to do that. And the same thing with Google Drawings, but I'll show you how to do that in just a minute. So to start out, I'm just going to open up Google Drive, and you'll notice Google Drive, the look on an iPad comes up like this. The priority is set, or the default is set on most of yours to show priority, and see on the bottom left there, that's what I'm looking at. It's the things you've done most recently. It's the things that, because of how many times you've opened them recently, it sees as the priority, the things you're working on. I can also do workspaces, which we won't talk about now, but workspaces are just a different way of organizing some of your workflow besides just folders, and you can use it in addition to folders, but that's a topic for another discussion. It also shows the view of what's shared, and then of course your files, which is the way most of us think about our drive and how we have it organized into folders, and then maybe just things that are not categorized into one of those folders in our drive. So as I go back to priority here, the other thing you'll see is that just like in Google Drive on your laptop, you see all the different files. Like you'll notice I have a Google Doc, I have a Google Slide presentation, and I have a Google Sheet item here, in addition to an audio file that I've stored into Google Drive. So I'm going to open up Google Docs here, this particular Google Doc here, and when I do that, you'll notice as I do, and actually before I do that, should probably show you there's the little plus sign down in the right hand corner. If I hit that, you'll see, just like I showed you before, those are the 3 apps, Docs, Sheets, and Slides, that you can create things in addition to uploading or creating a folder or using the camera. So that plus button is there if you're going to create something new in there. Your settings, the 3 little lines up there on the top left, that's where you can get into settings, and some of the other options are there as well. Now back to what I was going to say. When I open up Google Docs, you're going to notice, and I tap on this Google Doc, you'll see for that brief second, you'll see the Google Docs, and what that was I actually opened up the Google Docs app and opened up that particular Google Doc in now the Google Docs app. So if you see that title up there, and if I hit that back arrow, you'll see I'm now, as I said, in the Google Docs app, and you'll see it's just all the Google Docs that you have in your Google Drive. So again, the 3 lines, there's different things you can access or change there, including settings. But the other thing up there at the very top left is you'll see Drive. If let's say I wanted to go back to my Google Drive, if I hit the Drive button, I'm right back there into my Google Drive app, and now I can click back on the Google Doc again, and now I'm back into my Google document. You'll also see that it's in like this view only mode. So there's a couple things you have to do, or you can do, to get it to edit mode, and you'll see obviously the pen in the right hand corner, bottom right corner. I could tap that, or I just double tap, and now I'm in my normal Google Doc, And you'll see the menu on the top. Also on the top right, there's that small menu where you can change font. You can add video or links or some of the other things. I would say it's got many of the things that are in your browser, maybe not everything, but it has most of the things you'll use. And of course that 3 lines, I can change some of the other things the way it looks as well. So I could type in here to finish my work. Okay, when I finish, I'm going to hit that check button in the top left there, and when I do that, it's going to take me out of this edit mode, and I'm now back into that view only type. If I have comments, you'll see the top right. I can see there's a comment that was put in there that I made on this. I can do that if I double tap on it and I select something. You can see I can add a comment in there, and it will show up in my comments. And also, you notice just like on the iPad, I can double tap on it, tap on something that I need to select, and then I can have that little menu that comes up with it as well. So I'm going to be finished. I'm going to check my box again. I'm going to go back to Google Drive. I'm going to hit that in the top left corner, and you can see I could do the same things. It functions the same in both Google Slides and in Google Sheets. So I also showed you told you that I would show you how to do something in Google Forms, which many of you use, I'm sure. What I'm going to do is just go back to my Google, and instead of using an app, I'm just going to go to Chrome, and I'm just going to go in here and I'm going to do Forms, and you can see I already have it bookmarked there, but I'm going to do Forms. .google.com. So you see, once I have that up, I have my Google Forms up here, and I can create a blank Google form right there. And it functions just like that. If I tap on something, I can change it. So from here, you're just working at it like you're in the browser, just like you are familiar with doing things in Google Forms, changing the title, all those things. So that's how you can create a Google form, even though there's not a specific Google form app. So hopefully that just helps you get a little bit better idea, or maybe some of you have seen it before, to refresh your memory about how Google works on an iPad and how Drive works on an iPad. Next video we'll show you in just a little bit is going to show you more about how to use Google Classroom on an iPad.